So when you're fundraising, there's one thing that I want you to really keep in mind and pay a lot of attention to, and that's the details of the donor and the gift. In fact, think about it this way, and you may want to write this down. The donations are in the details. It's important, it's critical that you're tracking all the basic information from your donors, like their name, their address, phone number, email, and the gift information. So what was the date of the gift? Why did they give? Was it in response to a letter? Was it because of an email? Was it at an event? All that sort of thing. And then there's a little more that I want you to pay attention to. I've had donors give me some feedback over the years that I want to share with you because I think it's really important to get this right. Some of it's really simple, like pay attention to the spelling of their name. Don't misspell their name. I've had donors with some unusual spellings on their first name or last name, and they have told me that they've stopped giving to other organizations because the other organizations misspell their name. I can tell you, as someone who has a little bit of an unusual last name, I get a lot of materials, especially in the mail, with my last name misspelled. And what that tells me is they aren't paying attention to the details. And frankly, I don't trust a nonprofit that's not paying attention to the details. And I don't think I'm the only one. So make sure you get those names spelled correctly. Watch the details of the address. Sometimes there can be one tiny little thing that if you get it wrong, your mailing won't go to the right person. Or with an email address, you get one letter wrong, it bounces and the message doesn't get to the inbox where you want it to go. Now here's a couple more things that are a little more subtle. You got to watch this. If you get a check in the mail and it has both spouses' name on the check, who do you credit the gift to? I know a lot of people, especially years ago, who would always credit it to the husband. And I'm going to tell you to be very careful about that. My rule is look at who signed the check. The person who signed the check is the one you give credit to and the one you thank in the thank you letter. I have a colleague who had told me years ago that it used to make her so mad that she was the one making the decisions, she was the one writing the checks, and the thank you letters always came addressed to him. He didn't even know she was doing it. And that really taught me a big lesson about making sure that we were thanking the right people. Another place you can get into a lot of trouble is when your donors pass away. You need to have a way to mark in your database who has passed on, who is deceased, and then make sure that you're not mailing to them or trying to email them once you know that and once that's marked. That's really hard for a family to have to deal with that. And it's understandable immediately. Like right after that happens, it takes a while for that to kind of catch up. But if it's been several years, that's very frustrating. And for that family, that tells them you're not paying attention and they won't want to give to you anymore. It's all about building the trust. So, make sure you're keeping up with the information, keep up with the details. You may want to go through your database once a quarter or so and try to do some cleanup. I used to do cleanup every month on my data. I would search for duplicates, and I would do it a couple different ways. I would search on the name and then I would search on the address, because sometimes I would have names that would be slightly different, or if one was misspelled, it wouldn't pull up when I was searching on the name. So I would look for duplicates. I would look for blank addresses, like I would pull it up in Excel and I could scroll really fast and see, was there a zip code field that was just sitting blank? Was there another code, another field that was empty that I could do something about, that I could fix? Anytime things would come back, and this was when we were doing things through the mail, and it would say return to sender, well then I would go do some digging to try to figure out what's the right address for that person. These are all really important things to do, because ultimately having the accurate records builds trust with your donors.